Hi, my name's Jane and I suffer I have depression. I'm making this video because I've spent a long time planning, thinking about this channel, and when I'm in my imagination and I'm finding a place that I'm trying to build for when I'm well enough to make a difference outside of a social media platform. It's important that I take my truth and authenticity with me. No one wants to listen to somebody who's bullshitting them. I'm passionate about things, and sometimes you've got to be brave. Because not being brave ever, it's probably going to be a pretty dull life. See, this is why I should do scripts. But there again, authenticity, yeah. So just to reassure you, this isn't going to be a channel full of some depressed girl. I don't know why I refer to myself as girl. I'm 50 years old. But anyway, talking about how depressed they are and sharing the misery. That's not all what the projection for this channel is. Quite the opposite. Breaking stigmas, looking at narrative differently. I've been laid here listening to the voices and thinking about all sorts of things, and the frustration's been building up and I can't sleep, and there's been a lot going on this week. There's a lot going on this life, but I thought now's as good a time as any to get that authenticity out there. Because I don't care who you are, what kind of life you've got, if you're rich, you're poor, or anything. No one deserves to be, no one has to be depressed for the rest of their life. And after all these 50 years, I've suddenly come, well, not suddenly come, the last few years have been a little bit of a journey for me. And I've come to the conclusion that I'm not ever going to find any peace in myself. It's because part of that has been knowing that I can have meaning and purpose. It all boils down to, I know without a shadow of a doubt, that not anything apart from my kids is going to give me any deeper meaning, strength, ability to try and stay brave, and to share my ugly truth with people, because I really believe it's an opportunity to let other people be free to share their ugly as well. Shame, trauma, unhelpful narratives, do-gooders. There's all sorts of reasons why, you know, mental health is such a... Forget just the direct effects of mental health, but the social perception of mental health is pretty relative science, really, relative neuroscience. People think, oh, well, the study mental health, that's how it is. I actually learned something new this week that it's explained why I've never understood that. I know I've done the work, I've done the learning, I've done the education, and I have battled and been stubborn and found places in myself that I didn't know existed. And I give myself permission to be happy. I give myself permission to heal. I do. I like me. I'm a nice human. I fucking deserve it. But regardless of all that, I've never understood. I've got to a point I've never understood why it stops at a certain point. I can't get across. It's like this impenetrable barrier. And for another reason, completely different, I come across a lady this week, and we ended up talking about my mental health. And this lady was saying to me, it's like, listening to me, and told me about something. I've actually been Googling. It's pretty hard to pin down as an exact description what I call it, because it's such a new science. But we see mental health and depression and all these associated things as just emotional trauma, and then you've got things like ADHD, PTSD, all sorts of other brain conditions which can add to it or cause things. But there's like this middle ground. Not middle ground, there's like this other element to do with childhood trauma. And when I say trauma, we are all thinking about things like essay, because I've learned you can't use certain words on YouTube. I think you can work it out, or, being, or just general physical abuse. But even such things as having parents that couldn't cope, or really bad neglect, or things like that. But as a child with a developing brain, the brain and the body, are primal things at base. That's their prime core set defaults. That everything else is just like an add-on. As we've evolved through time, but those things are strong in us. And trauma, the body and the brain got to protect themselves. But what I've discovered is when it's happening in childhood and it's prolonged, it actually affects your brain development. This lady explained it to me as something like, think of it as it's like if you think of a brain injury, but it's more like a brain development injury. So it's what they call it, a neurological thing. And she explained to me, I mean, this is new to me. I'm quite an intelligent person. I could sit and talk for hours about the psychological, sociological and psychological effects of depression, my experiences, other people's experiences. I can get complex, I can analyse it, this is new, so you'll have to forgive the lack of clarity in what I'm describing. Basically, So as you're developing, the brain doesn't develop the normal patterns and reactions, and what will happen is you will find that, these ways of recovery and to help yourself grow and get strength, or whatever word you want to use, in order to beat and cope and fight with depression, will only take you to a certain point, because in effect you have not a traumatic brain injury, as in, what that term means, but as in a neurological brain injury, which was like having a bomb explode in my head. And I was like, I suppose, like anybody who knows something like that first time, I thought it's all been for nothing. It's all been for nothing. I'm fucked. I'm fucked. It's never going to get any better than this. I'm going to be trapped in this house. Sorry, to be clear, I'm not locking. That were a long time ago. But one of my major, most debilitating symptoms of depression is bouts of acute agoraphobia and agoraphobic tendencies, social anxiety disorder, that kind of thing. Basically, it culminated a long time ago with depression and having a nervous breakdown, which is very different to like just a mental breakdown. I had a nervous breakdown. It's a very physical thing, which is also why this lady thought, that this might be helpful for me to know. Turns out, though, so I'm sure that there's a term called neuroplasticity. I spend a lot of time on my own, and I'm quite clever, so I spend a lot of time Googling. So I don't think I'm any better than anyone else. If we use big words, sometimes I will try and say it in layman's terms. I've just got a lot of time to get all wordy. I'm a big fan of words. So, but it's not always good to use, I want to talk to people real. So anybody and any level of ability to perceive information needs to hear information so they can understand themselves. That's how I want to be. So, got to start somewhere. So neuroplasticity it sort of pertains to the brain's ability to be able to adapt and mold. So in a sense, it's that ability that causes this condition, but it's also the fact that your brain has this ability means that it can be treated with quite often very practical techniques. And I'm about to start on this journey. So I thought, what better time than when I feel like life's a big bag of shite, but I'm about to start on a journey, and you can share it firsthand with me. Maybe you're going through something similar, and me doing this and you listening to this means neither of us are doing it alone. So, yeah, there won't be lots of these videos. I'll keep you updated, but there won't be lots of these types of content. It'll look in the description for the channel. I'm a big fan and believer in how creativity can really help us. And I also believe every single person has some form of creativity in them that can be a good part of helping them heal, because I've never considered myself a creative person, and by chance one day I ended up getting into crafts. Couldn't stand anything like that as a kid. I had no interest in my early adult life, but a story for another time. So, and I'm a big fan of words, so I'm looking to for people to send poetry as well, because I think it'd be an amazing thing to collect poems by people with first-hand experience of mental health, and get them all together and publish. I don't know, on Amazon or something for non-profit, and use that money, maybe even do something like subscribers choose when enough money, if enough money builds up, what cause or person we're going to help. Because I just think that'd be an absolutely amazing thing to do. Sometimes the way forwards I feel empowered and like you're worth something is to make other people worth something, to feel like they're worth something. It's certainly the route I intend on going down anyway. So, yeah, poems, send them in. More about that. I'm also, believe it or not, really big fan of stand-up comedy. Love to watch comedy, and I think one of, especially, it's quite non-British people, are known for their droll, dark, ironic sense of humour. But I think there's such magical properties in humour and being able to laugh and make light of his own darkness. I'll make a very bold statement. I'm not saying it to be dramatic. It is just a fucking fact. It's a fucking fact. When I will put on this earth, God, Allah, the universe, whatever you think, whatever you believe in, we all know there's something bigger out there. What it is anybody's guess, but I know, I know that I were blessed by having been given a sense of humour, because I just would not be here now. I wouldn't have got here in life. I'd have left this earthly plane a long time ago. When people, I've said it many times, a sense of humour literally has saved my life. So I'm a big fan of humour, and a big fan of being able to laugh at yourself. I think it gives you character. I think it gives you perspective. I think it's also a sign that you're healing. That it's also a sign that you're comfortable, you're happy. It's okay not to be perfect, because perfection, not only does it not exist, it's a lot of bullshit. I'm not a massive fan of being healed. I'm doing air quotes. I don't know why I've told you, because I'm so over them. But anyway, healed, it's a funny word. That's also a discussion for another time. But, yeah, I'll have to do something on that. What does it mean to be healed? Healed tells you that it's fixed and gone back to, air quotes again, normal. And, if you've had depression, or you suffer from depression, or you've had any kind of hardship or injury or anything like that, you never go back to normal. Sometimes you can get back to a certain level where you're functionable, but the ideal is that you thrive. And what thriving means is it's got nothing to do with getting back to who you are or healing. It's got everything to do with whatever your trauma is, whatever it's been, by embracing it, owning it, demystifying it, not letting it be your enemy anymore, and it giving you more understanding, more purpose, more meaning, more ability to have a better effect on other people. So you don't heal, you rise, you expand, And when it gets really bad, I'm a big fan of memes. Never really being into trends, and I'm not follower. I'm me. I am who I am. I feel no desire to be like anybody else just to get acceptance. I struggled with that for a lot of years, because you try to, when you've got depression because of all these things, you try and do that when you're looking for it, but really you're looking for it from people that, who think that matters, and I tend not to. When I really like people, I've got to respect them, I've got to admire them. I like people who aren't afraid to go out and be themselves, because deep down inside, That's what everybody should have, the confidence, the freedom and the ability to do. But, you know, society came along and fucked all us humans up. So, yeah. I know I've lost my train of thought now. But yeah. So basically, I'm here to turn it all upside down, share my ugly truth. I'd really appreciate if you come along that journey with me because, you know, I've made isolation my best friend and now I want to turn lead into gold. And to do that, you've got to make a start, haven't you? So, fuck shame, fuck hiding. I know who I am and I know what I want to achieve. I'm entitled to feel better. There's nothing going to give me more joy and more feeling of purpose. I want you to come with me, not because I want you to look at me and be like, oh, look at her, look up to me and think I'm great. I don't want you to be on your own either. For me to make a difference to me, I have to make a difference for you. Because that's the fucking purpose in life. How shit would it be if there were no other humans on the planet? How shit would it be if there were no other humans on the planet? You all fucking belong to me, even the ones of you that I don't like much and I don't respect. Because we're all part of the same thing. Until the day I die, for inexplicable reasons to you probably, but I actually feel responsible for every person who's unhappy. I don't mean responsible as in a caustic. But if I knew for anybody, even people I don't like, if they were sad and I knew I could do something to make them feel better, there's not many feelings on this earth and in this reality for me than just how good it feels inside to make someone else feel good and to not be bitter and resentful and all torn up inside because life hasn't been great for you. I'm fucked up. I don't know, people have got certain opinions about me. I don't care. I don't fucking care. Because I'm going to love people regardless. I don't need you to love me. I need to love me. So, even if it's just because there's probably going to be very controversial moments and you like a bit of drama, yeah, I'd appreciate it. And let's see what bullshit I've got for you next time. Might be able to sleep now. Peace out, humans.